All right. Abba?
Well, awesome, y'all. So first off, man, welcome. Good to see you guys here. Basically, what I wanted to do today, so I've got about 30 minutes before we have another call. So we're going to do kind of a quick coaching call today. I've got some stuff that I want to share with you guys. But first, I'd like to just kind of open it up to any questions. I'd rather make sure we kind of get some Q&A or answer any questions you guys might have before I kind of dive in and share some social media stuff with you. So, man, Will, Matthew, Dave, do you guys have any questions before I kind of dive in?
I've noticed a little bit of a less communication that's coming in just in the past week. There was a whole lot that was in the first week or week and a half. I know that that's not necessarily anything you can figure, but is there any reasoning that you know why it's less all of a sudden?
Man, no, but you know, I'll dive in and take a look and see if it's something obvious, and then if it keeps going for the next, I'd say give it another 48 hours. If it keeps going that far, just shoot an email over to heather@churchgrowthagency.com. And then what we'll do if that's the case is we'll just relaunch the ads. We'll actually pause this one and then rebuild it, relaunch it, duplicate the ad campaign and relaunch it. And that should fix it. But let's give it about 48 hours just to make sure it's just not like just kind of a deal. Yeah. All right. Scott, welcome to the call. Good to see you here today, man.
Thank you.
Hey, Chris just said we have about 30 minutes, so about 25 left. And we're just opening it up for Q&A. So want to make sure that you heard that so you can get anything in.
Matthew, let me ask you this: what, just so I can write it down here, which ad account? Do you know what the name of your ad account is, so I can have my team look at it or pull it up myself here?
Faith for Life Church.
Okay.
Is that
the name of the ad account? I know sometimes it's under a different account name.
It might be under Matthew Tarkington.
All right. I'm making a note here to take a look, and then yeah, well, I'll make sure to take a look this afternoon and see what's up.
Appreciate it.
Okay, perfect. All right, awesome. Anybody else got any questions here? Otherwise, I've got some ideas for some event marketing that I wanted to kind of throw y'all's way. Everybody good? Okay, cool. So here's what I wanted to kind of communicate. We did a coaching call with the church here a couple of days ago, and it kind of got me thinking. I was like, I haven't shared this in a while, but this is something that if you guys have a fall festival coming up, if you have some type of, especially maybe like a big Christmas, whether it's like a Christmas Eve kind of thing, or we do it for Easter every year, and it works huge. So you can basically use this about once or twice a year. I wouldn't use it more than twice. And I'd spread it out if you can. So like if you did it at Christmas and Easter, that'd be okay. Or like Easter and back to school, or Easter and fall festival. But it's something I call the thunderclap. And basically what you want to do is whenever you have some type, so you got your Facebook ministry ads going. And one of the best things that's going to do is it continues to build that leadership equity with everyone in your community. So the cool thing is they're open, like you're basically turning that soil. Right. And so when you start to invite them to something, whether it's a Sunday morning, whether it's an event or an outreach, their heart is open because you've been sowing into their life this whole time. Right. So it's because you've been giving. Now, whenever you ask them to something, they're totally open. Right. Whereas like most of the time, if you ask somebody to show up to something, immediately people kind of just put shields up and like knows kind of like the first knee-jerk reaction. Right. But if it's like, oh, this is that prayer pastor, this is the guy that's always willing to pray for me on Facebook. And then you're inviting them out to something, again, Christmas Eve, fall festival, back to school, Easter, whatever it is. So that's you can run a specific ad for that. But what I think is one of the single most underutilized methods that we've seen incredible bandwidth and incredible results with both with at our church and with some of the churches that we've been coaching is this thing called the thunderclap. So it requires a little bit of work, but it's absolutely free, which is awesome. So basically, here's kind of what you do. If you have something coming up, let's call it Christmas Eve, since we're about 2 months out from Christmas now. Is what you do is basically a week before the event, you go on, so the Sunday before your event, you basically come in and you're talking to your congregation and say, okay, guys, here's what we're going to do is we're going to do a giant social media invite campaign. We want to get as many people here on Christmas Eve as possible, right? Cast a little vision, tell them the why behind everything, why you want to get them on Christmas Eve, what you've got going on, why it's going to be such an incredible event for their families. Because you have to give people the thing to understand. If your people don't naturally share your social media posts or your events and that kind of stuff, it really comes down to one thing. It's status. Now, this is kind of a psychology of marketing kind of thing, right? So the quick crash course in that is basically people share what makes them look good. Right. So if you're doing like a family fun day and you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to have circus animals and it's going to be absolutely incredible. Right. And man, we've got, 5 bands that are going to be here, and it's free food and food trucks everywhere and free ice cream for your kids. And we've got a live petting zoo, and there's going to be a 300-foot slipping slide. And, right. And all this like cool stuff, bounce houses, inflatables. Man, come on out. It's absolutely free. Everyone in your church is going to automatically share that because it makes them look good. Right? When all their friends who have kids take them out and they have a great time, they're going to come back. They're going to be like, Caleb, you're a freaking stud, man. Thank you so much for inviting me to the thing at your church. That was awesome. Right? But if they're not sure if the event's going to be cool, and you're like, well, I think there might be 3 or 4 carnival games there. They're all going to be homemade. Last year it was a little suspect, but this year I think it's going to be better. They're going to be hesitant to kind of share that stuff. Or if they think whatever it is that you're sharing isn't going to be a great experience for their friends, basically, right? So it just comes down to status. If it's going to increase their status and make them look good, they'll share it automatically. And then, especially if you ask them, if they don't think it's going to, and it's going to decrease their status, then it's because they don't think it's going to make them look good to their friends. Okay, so a lot more that goes into it. That's kind of the crash course. It's basically status. People automatically share what makes them look good. They won't share something that they're afraid might not make them look good. So with the thunderclap, you need to make sure to do it for something that's going to be really cool, like Christmas Eve. One of the things, so my church is very modern. We have a lot of loud music and smoke, loud music, lights, all that kind of stuff. But we do a traditional Christmas Eve service, and it's actually really, really cool, like candlelight and everything. And it's totally different from anything else that my church does. So even though there's probably a ton of traditional candlelight services around here, ours is unique, at least with our culture, just because it's completely different than what we normally do. And so we all know, everyone that goes to it knows that it's a really, really cool service every single year. And that it's basically like 60 minutes in and out. And so we make it nice and easy for people to get there and then still be able to make it to Christmas Eve dinner with their friends and family and that kind of stuff. So if you're doing that, you cast what you're doing. You talk about a little bit of vision for it. And then what you do is the Sunday before the event, you go to your congregation, you say, okay, here's what we're going to ask you to do is on social media tomorrow, on Monday, you're just going to spend 30 to 60 seconds just inviting people or telling people what God's doing in your life, and then having them have them invite their friends to the event. Right. So if it was Christmas Eve, right, I might come in and just say, hey, what's up, guys? Man, I just want to tell you, man, God's been doing so many incredible things, man, in our life and our family. Our kids have been doing awesome, man. We've been loving, Guts Church. We've been coming here for about 5 years now. Our marriage has never been better. Man, our kids love going to church. We got free ice cream every single Sunday. And it's just really cool to see the work that God's done in my family. Man, and I'd love to see this God do the same thing in your family. So, man, every one of my friends who lives here in the Tulsa area, I just want to invite you to come out to our Christmas Eve services. And Friday night, we've got services at 4 and 6 o'clock. It's really, really cool. It's only gonna be 1 hour, so you're gonna be able to get out, see all your friends, hang out with your friends and family. But man, we're gonna have free hot chocolate and candy canes for the kids. A candlelit service is gonna be really, really cool. We're gonna sing some Christmas songs, and I think you're gonna have a great time with family. It's a tradition for our family. I think it could be a great one for yours. Right? Just have them invite something out there in their own words, no script. They just say what God's doing in their life, and then they invite their friends to the event. And then just have them drop the website in the actual comments, right? So, hey, just go to gutschurch.com. You can learn more about our Christmas Eve services. Then you just make sure to put that event front and center on the homepage of your website, and you ask everyone to do it on Monday. And what we like to do is we send out like a reminder text to everyone in our database Monday morning. hey, it's time to go live. You can go live on Facebook or Instagram. Just do a Facebook live and tell people what they're doing. Tell them to do video and to do a Facebook or Instagram live, because Facebook's algorithm and Instagrams will push those live videos more than a post. So tell them to do a Facebook live. A bunch of their friends, like probably hundreds of their friends, are going to get notifications. They're going to see that video, and then it'll automatically post to their profile afterwards. And it's going to get in front of a bunch of people. And it's not an ad, so they're not asking for anything. They're just from the heart telling people what God's doing in their life, and then inviting them out to the event. And if you do that, well, again, what we like to do is we send out a text Monday morning, then we send out a reminder text about 4:00 Monday afternoon. Hey, if you haven't, if you haven't done your Facebook Live invite yet, please go live on your social media accounts, invite people out to Christmas Eve. And then finally, we do one final one on Tuesday, about 10 a.m. saying, hey guys, if you planned on doing this yesterday, but you totally lost track of time, you didn't get a chance to, man, we're just going to ask one more time just to go Facebook Live or Instagram Live. If you haven't done it yet, just share what God's doing in your life and invite them out to Christmas Eve. Right. If you do that, what happens is you literally have the combined social power of everyone in your church that decides to do this. Right. So even if you have 100 people in your church, but you can get 50 people to do this, that's going to be, it's a potential reach of tens of thousands of people, right? Because Facebook is going to push the live video. Instagram is going to push that live video out to all the people that they're friends with, and you're going to get in front of them absolutely free. And then what happens is people start liking that and commenting on it. It's going to show it to even more people, and you just get this incredible thunderclap of invite, right? So it literally just starts with your church, and then everyone just goes out and just reverberates and echoes across social media, and it goes across both platforms, Facebook and Instagram, and all of those friends. And so for a lot of those people who have multiple friends who go to your church, they're going to see it in multiple different places. They might see it on Caleb's Facebook, and then they'll see it on my Instagram. Then they might see it on my wife's Instagram. Then they might see it on Caleb's wife's Facebook, right? And what happens is they're seeing it over and over and over, just everyone talking about what God's doing in their life and inviting them out to the Christmas Eve service at Guts Church, right? And so it becomes really, really powerful, and you can reach a ton of people. And by doing it on Monday, what happens is, and then basically just sending out a reminder to everybody who forgot to do it on Tuesday, then it gets all that social juice all week long as it keeps showing it to people. And Facebook's and Facebook's algorithm, it will keep showing it to people days after they've done it if people keep interacting with it, right? So you're going to get, again, thousands or potentially tens of thousands of potential reach throughout social media for free, of just people sharing from their heart what God's doing in their life and inviting them to church. And so if you do that once or twice a year, it will absolutely crush it. I had a friend of mine who actually invented this idea. His name is Steve John. He did this a couple of years ago, told me about it. We started doing it at my church, and now it goes ham every single week or every single year when we do it. They did it. They had about 25 Plan Your Visits right before, I think it was Easter was the event they were doing. They had 25 Plan Your Visits. Was not bad. But they were expecting a lot more. And so they did the thunderclap on Monday. And from Monday until that Sunday, they ended up getting an additional like 77 Plan Your Visits or something, right? So they ended up having, it was like 103, it was 120 Plan Your Visits, right? So more than 77, whatever that math is. He ended up having 120 Plan Your Visits, from 25 to 120, so 95 Plan Your Visits in like 6 days, just from doing this, right? So, and that's all they did is they just told everybody to tell them what God's doing in your life, do a Facebook or Instagram live, and then tell people, hey, just go to gutschurch.com for more information. And on the homepage had all the info, and then had a place where you can plan your visit for Easter Sunday, and it just exploded. So
if any of you guys need to want to rewatch that, just so you guys know, we're live streaming on YouTube right now. This video is going to be uploaded and available after we end this meeting, a few minutes afterwards. So you can always go back and rewatch it on our channel. Because I think what Chris went through is actually gold. It's gold for you guys. And I've had this conversation with you. This guy's, listen, I've known him 19 years. It's hard for me to admit this, but he's a creative genius. I've used him before even working with him. I used him for email campaigns, Facebook ad campaigns for some bigger organizations, and his were always the best, always. And this is something that you guys need to implement. You guys need to implement this. So if you need to go back and rewatch it, be sure to check out our YouTube channel where we're live streaming. You can find it. Do you want to go summarize what you just said one more time for them?
Yeah, because I realize it's a lot of words. So it's basically this: you ask your church to do a Facebook or Instagram live invite to your event. You ask them on the Sunday before the event. You ask them to do it the following day on Monday. Like I said, we always send out a reminder text or email to the entire database Monday morning, a reminder Monday afternoon, and then kind of a last call Tuesday morning. You're just asking everyone to either go live on Facebook or Instagram and just invite people to church, or tell them what God's doing in your life, and then invite them to church, invite them to your event.
A lot of people won't do it, but some of them will. And those that do,
yeah.
reach a lot of
And
people.
you'd be surprised how many people do it. But the key is this, right? So just in the same way that the key to your show up rate and plan your visit is whether or not you made a personal connection with them before Sunday morning. Like, it literally just comes down to that. If you made a personal connection with them, doesn't matter if it's phone call or text message, whatever. If you made a personal connection, they'll show up. If you didn't, they won't. It's the same way with social media and kind of doing this. Lost my train of thought. Thank you. It's the same thing with the thunderclap. The key is casting vision for the event, right? Why they should do this, like why their friends should come, right? So if it doesn't matter what you just share your vision for the event and your vision for why their friends and family would want to come. If you know,
so you're getting them excited about posting on social media.
Yes, you're getting them excited, but they're buying into the why. And they're buying into you, right? So that's
you mentioned having them stand up as a commitment in that other coaching call. I thought was a great idea.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of coaching commitment, of micro commitments, right? So like if you're in there, it's like, hey, listen, man, would you guys be willing to do that, right? You know, in fact, man, everyone who's willing to do that right now, man, would you just raise your hand, right? People start raising. Okay, great, man. Just one more thing. Would you guys just stand up if you're willing to do this and you're saying, yep, man, hey, Pastor Chris, I'm going to do this. Tomorrow I will go live on either Facebook or Instagram and invite people to the event. Man, would you just stand up? And then as people stand up, right, other people start standing up. And once they've made that micro commitment to the pastor, they feel like they've promised you and therefore promised God that they're going to do it, which is great, right? They've made a commitment. But those little micro commitments of saying yes, raising their hands, standing up, it's just going to lead them to, you know, actually executing on Monday. So yeah, micro commitments are huge.
And maybe even giving them a link, right, to the event page or something like that where they can find it.
Yeah,
something like that.
So if you have a landing page, usually the easiest thing to do is to say is to just put all the information on the homepage and then run everybody to the homepage, because it's unless it's like Easter, like it's, you know, you say, oh yeah, go to guschurch.com/Easter. But again, people are going to forget the slash part. So since everyone's just going to remember the website anyway, make it easy. Just put it on the homepage and then have the option for people to plan a visit on there.
Good, very good. I've muted everybody's mics. Do you have anything else, or do you want to open it up to Q&A for some of those that joined late?
Yeah, I've got about 7 minutes left here, so I would say, man, let's take some Q&A if anyone else has any questions here.
You can put it in chat or unmute your mic and jump in. It'd be easiest if you just unmuted your mic if you have questions. Somebody's got to have a question. Okay, go ahead.
Scott, what's up, man?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing great. How you doing, man?
Good, fantastic. Well, so do want to say definitely some positives after being in the program. Our page likes on our page has gone up dramatically. We've got people that have found us on the prayer page that are watching us on stuff. We haven't had a lot of people show up, but we do have some show up, and we've actually have a couple that are part of the church. But one thing that, and I don't know if anybody else is running into this. This is my question. With the ad, we've had probably more than half of the people that reply to the ad go to church somewhere else, not interested in coming, or they live too far away, or they just want us to pay for their rent, their gas, their utilities.
They don't have a car. Yep.
They don't have a car. And I'm thinking, man, if we had transportation ministry, boy, we probably would have gained another 200 people in our church. So I'm saying, how can we, is there a different way to strategize to get, like say, when you lose half the people right off the bat because they're already plugged in somewhere else, which is great. We still pray for them because we pray for our brothers and sisters in Christ. So we definitely do that. We've had answers to prayers. But do you ever run into that? Like I said, we probably had 10 quality people show up that are now, yeah, we like it, we're a part of it, which I think is fantastic. That's worth the investment right there. But what about all the rest of it?
Yeah, great question. So here's it's like anything. Like if you guys have ever done anything with the poor or any type of like outreach or anything, like we do a Friday groceries every single Friday, and we hand out somewhere between 400 and 700 bags of groceries to families in need. What's funny is about a third of the people are like down and out, like poor, and like really need help. About a third of them are just like old and it's hard for them to kind of get out and work or on fixed income, and about a third are just lazy. Right? Like it doesn't happen. It's interesting because almost all of them are entitled and in a bad mood. Right? Like it's funny. Like you think like, oh, hey, here we are, man. We're helping the poor. This is man, this is gonna be amazing. Like there's there's gonna be no people are there, like they're mad. They complain because you gave them Captain Crunch and they only like frosted mini wheats, right? And you gave them red tomato sauce, but they like like white Alfredo sauce. And it's like, but it's just the mindset of people that are, and at the end of the day, it's just those people are just in pain. They're hurting, right? And so yeah, some of them are lazy, some of them like feel entitled, but at the end of the day, man, like we don't do it for them as much as we're doing. Man, the gospel says to help the poor, and that's what we're doing. And so with the Facebook ministry ads, you're going to get a lot of the same thing, right? It's a lot of people that don't have cars and don't have rides. It's a lot of people that need money and they want you to pay their bill, and everyone's got a sob story about why they need money for whatever. Right. You're gonna reach those people anytime you do anything like that. And you're gonna reach other Christians as well, people in other churches, because everyone needs prayer. But you're also gonna reach people, right, who are ready to visit, and you're gonna do that. So one of the things like in marketing is that anytime you run any type of an offer, there's always 3% of the market that's ready to buy right away. Right. So if you and I started a business and we decided to go out and start selling iPhone cases, right, about 3% of the market out there is already in the market ready to buy an iPhone case, and we could sell them right away. But that leaves 97% of the market that we have to get creative on. We have to build a relationship with. They have to start to kind of know, like, and trust us. Right. And so typically there's about another 7% that will, so double that 3%. There's another 7% that are kind of in the position to be able to buy, but you just got to kind of warm them up a little bit, spend a little bit of time with them. And then the 90% you just kind of put into the long-term nurture sequence, right? So that's kind of what this is. There's 3%, like those 10 people, right? Those people that are, man, it met them where they're at. They're looking for a church or looking for life change, and they're ready to go. There's probably about another 7% that if you continue to follow up with them, you continue to build a relationship, they'll visit pretty soon, right? And then that other 90%, some of those people they're not, buyers per se, right? Like they'll never come to your church ever. They'll probably always ask you for money. They might never have a car. Like there's going to be a certain percentage of that's going to be that. But then there's going to be other people that might be believers, right? Some of them say they have a home church, but they haven't actually been in 2 years. Right. And they're just, they're, the thing that they don't know is that their wife is about to get pregnant, or their girlfriend's about to get pregnant, or they're actually 30 days out from having a baby. And the first time they look down at that baby, like in their arms, they're holding that baby, and they go, oh my gosh, I got to get my life right.
Yeah.
Right. Like I ran an ad for a while, one of the most effective we ever had. It just says, want to raise your kids in church? ? Start this Sunday. Right. And it was, we just did a picture of a baby, because what I realized is that every single friend that I have, I mean, without a doubt, and I mean like some of the craziest, like ones that party like crazy and don't love God or whatever, and would never come to church with me. They have a kid, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, I gotta make some changes. Right. And they're like, and they also like, man, we gotta start going to church. My sister was like super new age and like, weird crystals and all that kind of stuff. And she had a baby, and all of a sudden she was like, man, I got to raise this kid in church. And like, she'd never go to church, and she's like calling me and asking me Bible questions and all kinds of stuff, right? Because it's like, it changes your life, right? So there's all of a sudden, she's looking for a church and looking for that kind of stuff. But if there had been a Pastor Scott in her city that had been praying for her, right? She probably would have reached out and said, yeah, I'm having a baby. And, and his dad's in jail somewhere on the East Coast. Like, I'm gonna have to raise this kid by myself. I need prayer, right? And you're like, oh, hey, and you're sending the audio prayer and you're following up there. She would not have come to church. But man, a couple of months later, when she had that baby and she was like, oh, you know what? There's that pastor on Facebook who prayed for me like 7 months ago. Man, I'm gonna reach out. So it's just understand there's 3%.
Even if it's just the pastor who prays for people.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there's that too. There's people that you don't even know that you've reached because they've not responded. who, when you run another ad, they will remember you for the previous one. It wasn't
Right.
relevant then, but maybe now it is. And you
Yep.
built some relationship equity. You built a warm
Yeah, that's
feeling
exactly
about your
it.
church.
Yeah.
They're going to remember you for the way you made them feel.
Yeah, I like what you guys said. When I first joined, you said that, you know, eventually they're going to find out who you are, what's going on. And we had a person in our church this last week said they ran into somebody in town that found out they went to our church and they're like, dude, your pastor prayed for me and it got answered. And man,
Yep.
that's your church. And
Yep, that's
so
it, bro.
was totally cool that, so it's starting to go, you know, it's starting to, how would I say, warm up. We have more people watching us and stuff
Yep.
that that came from the Facebook page. So
Yep.
that's why I think eventually they're going to show up, which we're excited about.
I think you're at the beginning of that. You're at the
Yeah.
beginning of the avalanche.
That's
Right.
it, man. It's we call it the flywheel effect, and I literally completely stole that from Jim Collins and Good to Great, right? He just talks about having this giant, huge, like 30-foot, like solid metal 2-ton flywheel. And at first, you got to get like everybody in the church like pushing on it to try to get it like to move at all. Right, it's almost like rusted shut. But as you start to move it, it starts to get a little bit easier, it starts to pick up momentum, and then eventually, the longer you do this, it just starts getting going. Right, so that's why I tell people, I'm like, man, if you'll just commit to doing this for 12 months, right? And it doesn't have to be prayer ads forever, right? But at least 90, 120, 150 days of building the relationship equity with people, continuing to pray. And then we turn over and start inviting them to church, right? And then we run some other, like we've been working on some other different types of prayer ads that we'll probably roll out here next month or so, where we're targeting right now. This is on purpose. It's like, hey, anybody that has a prayer request, right? But then we can start targeting some stuff like, hey, do you need prayer for your marriage?
Yeah.
Man, are you guys
Hey,
you
Mom.
guys going through it, right?
Mother's Day prayer ad.
Yeah, Mother's Day prayer ad, right? Like having kids, like the new year, new you. Everyone's kind of looking for everything. So there's some different things we can do. We're even working on a. We actually just built it. We're testing it here. So before I tell you guys how awesome it is, we'll test it and we'll find out some numbers. But we just built a straight up invite ad, like plan your visit chatbot ad. That's just like this. Only there is no like prayer ad after you've been running this. So the churches that we're testing it have been running this for 5 months. So now we turn around and say, hey, what's up? I'm Pastor Scott. Man, you want to come to church this Sunday? Man, listen, click on the link below, plan your visit. We'll save you a seat in service. We'll meet you at the front door, help you get your kids checked in, and just kind of run it. But it bypasses your website and goes through Messenger. So you can continue to build your Messenger list. And it's just going straight for the ask, but it's not a cold ask. People aren't like, who the heck's this guy? It's like, hey, this is that Facebook prayer pastor guy, right? Who's always on here asking to prayer. Now you're inviting them to church, but they know who you are. So even if they haven't reached out, they feel like they have a relationship with you. They feel like they know you. And that's a game changer. You elevate that relationship, but you just have to plant seed, right? For 4 or 5 months, laying that foundation. Then we do that for 30 to 60 days. Then we go back to another type of Facebook ministry ad with a little bit of a different targeting. And we keep going that route. You look at 12 months from now, you won't even recognize your church. It'll be completely different. The hard part is to remember, like after like one Sunday, you're like, man, I thought we were gonna have more people. I thought we'd have more visitors or something, right? It's hard to remember, like, okay, we're playing the long game. We're going 12 months. Man, we're just gonna invest in our community. And I promise, if you can do that, you won't even recognize your church a year from now. Every church that's ever taken me up on that completely changes the game. It just takes a little while. So I apologize, y'all. I gotta go hop on another call here. But man, great seeing you guys.
I'm gonna wrap this up in prayer. You
Yeah,
take
yeah.
off, bro.
Do it.
Right?
Do it.
Guys,
Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.
Feel free, you guys join next week. We'll do the same thing. Lord, thank you so much for these pastors. Lord, I pray that you would just continue to give them the strength and energy, Lord, to continue to do the ministries that you've called them to do. Help them be more effective in their outreach. Lord, and I pray you would provide resources, Lord, staff, personnel, Lord, the financial resources they need, the energy resources they need, Lord, to be who you've made them to be, Lord, all the different hats, from maybe a father and a husband to a pastor, Lord, to a leader in the community, a leader of the church, leader of the staff. Lord, to being a son and a grandson, Lord, and all the different roles that they fill. I pray you equip them with that and help them to keep in mind, and I pray you make clear to them where their responsibility ends and yours begins, so they don't take on too much stress that is not theirs. Lord, you love these people even more than we do, and you love your church even more than we do. So we know that you're invested in this, and I pray, Lord, you just help us be sensitive to your voice, to understand where you're leading us, and to equip us to do all the things you've called us to do. Lord, we love you, and we ask you to bless all of our efforts to serve you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys. I'll see y'all next week, all right? Thanks for hopping on.